Hi everybody, Chris here from Treaty Holistic. In this video, it's going to be a demonstration, healing demonstration video. And we're going to be using the intention of levity, to levitate. Now, if we're dealing with a health problem or manifestation issues, it's going to be due to a lack of levity. Okay? Now, gravity, for most of us, has been taught as a force, right, in regards to science, that if something falls to the ground, that's the act of gravity. Okay? When we look at levity and gravity, they are polarities or opposites to each other, right? Levity or levitation is for things to go up, gravity for things to fall down. What we find energetically is that gravity is more low vibrational, levity is more high vibrational, okay? For example, to levitate is to ascend, right? So it's connected to the word ascension, is levity. When we look into the meaning behind the Latin word or Latin translation of gravity, it means heavy. Okay? Now, when we look at someone with a health problem, dealing with a health problem, a common aspect of that is lethargy, right? And everything just feels heavy. The body feels really heavy. You know, when we're stressed, overwhelmed, it feels like we've got the weight of the world on our shoulders, right? So this aspect of heaviness, of gravity on that particular person. Okay. When we see people that have clarity, have a pep in their step, are confident, they generally feel lighter, right? And they stand up nice and tall. This is levity, right? Levity is also connected to the word, or connected to the idea of to take things not so seriously, to be light-hearted, right? So connection with the heart there, right? You know, again, another clue, another hint. To laugh a bit more is to provide a little bit more levity, right? We know how important that is in regards to our health. Okay, it's high vibrational. So the Latin translation of levity, and the meaning behind that is light, right? Obviously for things to feel light and weight, but also connecting into your light, right? Which is another word for consciousness, for energy. Okay, so there's a lot, and generally when we go into what we were taught from a force angle or perspective, and what science still does now is there's a fixation on gravity. Gravity this, gravity that. Right? And even when they talk about levity, they call it anti-gravity. Right? They don't even say the word levity. Now, why is that? There is a purpose for everything. That's because science is a mind orientation. It's a mind creation itself. And the mind is all about limitation. That's its role. That's its purpose. And what we generally see when we're dealing with people with health problems, with manifestation issues, a big part of that problem is because they are being mind orientated. They are following a pathway of mind thought, and that is limiting them and lowering their vibration. Right? So they feel heavy, everything, and have a lack of clarity. Right? So, no wonder science, because it is a mind creation, is following something that is bound to the mind. Right? Gravity, lower vibration. Okay. And what they're finding because science generally is it's an observational thing. You know, they experiment, they do tests that show this observation, but they lack into the insights of why they were observing it, right? What's the greater understanding or knowing of what this represents, what we are actually observing? And the answers don't come through gravity, and it doesn't come through the mind. It comes through consciousness. From the heart, from consciousness, from levity. So levitation is essentially going to provide the answers. Now, another aspect of, I'm going to bring up the ascension map before we get into this free healing, because I'd like to give a greater insight into why this is so important, this healing we're going to do. Okay, and give you a little bit of context into why I'm doing the free healing and providing that to you through a session I did with a client. Now, this is the ascension map. This is an illustration of your expansion that we've put together. And I've had it for a while, but I've put it in a more simplified form, right? And this is where you are in this reality here, right? And see the sense that this bit here that bridges into this reality, and see that, you can see that that's the tree, right? So that's the foliage, the expression of the tree. Because really you're here to be a representation of this expansion, right? And to express that expansion to further creation, further foliage of this tree. So see this bit here, right? The entering into this reality, that's your heart. That's your heart. And everything within you on a quantum level, quantum pathway, is all of this. Okay, this is why to have your heart open is everything. It's the key. Okay. And this is why I like to get this information out to you, because do you know what the most common clearing is within session work? Is we're finding that a majority of my clients, their hearts are closed and they need to be opened. Okay. And this comes back to also this aspect of gravity and levity, right? Because generally humans are more mind-orientated, and when the mind's open, right, lowering their vibration, gravity becomes the more dominant aspect, not levity. Why? Because the heart closes off. And where's our expansion? Deep within there, and it needs to levitate up to the surface, right? So we need that heart open. See the mind and the heart as two doorways that cannot be open at the same time. As one opens, one starts to close. Okay? One's more gravity dominant, one's more levity dominant. Okay? So for your expansion to be represented here, you need an open heart to provide all of this through it, which will levitate up to the surface. Okay? Very much like how we see a spring in its natural environment. Water, spring water, right? Is that water's coming from an aquifer deep underground in the earth. And it needs to levitate up to the surface for it to become a spring. And the beautiful thing about the magical property of a spring water, is it's going against the laws of physics, right? Is that the laws of physics state that for anything as it levitates, anything to go against gravity, the forces of gravity will create friction, and out of that friction create heat. But spring water comes out icy cold, unless it's a hot spring. But for a cold spring, it comes out icy cold. So it actually bypasses the laws of physics in regards to that. Because there's a lot more to gravity and levity than just a force. As I say, science is a byproduct of mind orientation, and the mind is to limit, not to give you the bigger picture, not to give you the insights into what we observe, right? So this is a great illustration of that, right? Of this levity. This is all to do with levity. For everything that come here, it requires levity. Okay? And levity is connected to the word ascend, to ascend. What is ascension all about? Is to bring your infinite consciousness aspect to be represented here. That's what ascension is, because this has all got to ascend up, levitate up, right? To the surface, and the surface is your heart. That's why you need an open heart. You need it to be open. If we are living from here, we cannot ascend. Simple as that. Okay. So, very key aspect, levity. Levity is also connected to flow, because when we get into mind thought, we obstruct and impede our ability to be in the flow or go with the flow. And that the body then follows that, because the body is only as good as the state you provide it. Right? So therefore, if you provide a state that is impeding, congesting flow, which is mind thought, which means a closed heart, then the body will become a reflection of congestion, obstruction, blockage of flow. And the body relies on flow to be vital and well. When we look at every illness known to man, it's either because it's a congestion, obstruction, or blockage to flow. Okay. So, levity or levitation is connected to the word ascension, ascend, connected to flow. It's connected to hydrogen. Okay. The king element, which hydro means water, gen means generator or genesis of water. And what's the greatest teacher of flow here? Water, right? Okay, it's also vortex, as you can see here. Now, vortex is the geometry of flow. Okay, what does gravity do? What's gravity connected to mind thought? And we've just said that. What does mind thought do? It makes you the biggest block and obstruction, congestion to your own flow, and therefore to your own health, your wellness, your vitality, your ascension. Right. So, very important, levity. So let's do the clearing. Now, give you some context into this clearing. I was doing a session with a client who is trying to give up smoking, right? And so we're working on her nervous system, and particularly the central nervous system. We did a bit of work on her sympathetic nervous system. And I got guided to intend levity, or to levitate her central nervous system. And when we did this clearing, immediately she goes, wow, what a high that was. It felt like a high, you know. And when we look into smoking, we look into these things that we feel like we're dependent on, we've got to understand, why are we dependent on them? And a lot of the times is that, you know, we could look at it from a neurotransmitter aspect and say that what's a flush of dopamine, right? But if we look deeper into that, it's more this aspect that it levitates us. It puts a pep in our step. It makes us feel alive more. So why are we reaching for something to put us into that state? So where are we before that, right? Is that generally life is lowering our vibration, and we need these things to then lift us back up. Okay. So the bigger aspect of that is we could look at, okay, smoking's bad for us, or drinking's bad for us, or all these things that we feel like, you know, and the drug issue that's out there, right? That's trying to levitate people out, which really is people trying to escape reality, right? Because reality's not so good. Is this realization that the way we're being taught through mind thought to become thinkers is not actually putting the odds in our favor. It's putting it always against us. And hence, that's why we reach out for these things, to try and lift us up, to give us a pep in our step, to levitate us. And this is why I put all this information out here, is we need to change that. We need to change our way that we process our life moment to moment, not just through practices, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there, but a new way of knowing our role in reality, how we create reality, not just as an observer and a participant, but how we process it. To remove ourselves from a mind thought pathway and then go back to our innate original way that we're supposed to be guided through heart feel. And when we go into heart feel, we are providing our heart to be open in all of this, what I was just talking about, which levitates you, not gravity, not lowering, levitates you. Okay. Right. So let's get on to the free healing. So here we go. Now, I'm going to intend this for everyone's central nervous system, but you can just close your eyes and take in this energy and using your place of attention, focus on the area where you want it to go. Okay, here we go. Now, for everybody watching and listening to this video, I want to calibrate their central nervous system with levity, please. For everybody watching and listening to this video, I want to calibrate their central nervous system with levity, please. To levitate their central nervous system, please. Now, when we follow what we were taught to be, right, to be thinkers, to use a mind thought pathway, we created an existence which we call duality. And what I like to explain to people what duality is. Duality is an energy, its very nature is conflictive and chaotic, okay? Because it's lowering your vibrational state, okay? It's forming a state that unbalances you. It removes your balance, okay? It removes your natural state, okay? And that natural state is a being state. That's why we're called human beings, but we're taught to be human doings. So can we still call ourselves human beings? Not really, right? It's really a contradiction that everyone seems to just live with and don't question, right? So duality is, when you place when you're using your own energy to place the odds against you. Okay. Now, when we talk about getting into the heart, right, it's all about neutrality, right? Providing balance. Okay. Now, the thing about duality, right, provides an unbalanced state, but it also really affects your nervous system in a very destructive manner because your nervous system gets overworked. Okay, this is why we intended central nervous system. When we get more into the heart field pathway, we actually bypass a majority of our nervous system, and our nervous system finally gets to rest. Okay. So, I'm not going to get into the big reasons behind that, but this is why this levity can really influence and affect in a very constructive manner regarding your nervous system, because a lot of the times that we are taught to process life is really hitting our nervous system very hard. And obviously there's many detrimental effects to that, okay? But I hope everybody has enjoyed this video and learned something from it, but also enjoyed the free healing. Please post comments below, tell me how that felt, that energy. And also, if you've any questions you have about the topic I've talked about in the video. Always remember to like the video. Also, please subscribe to the channel if you like this content, would like to receive more. Also, to push the notification bell to make sure that you're notified when there is a new video released on the channel. Until next time, catch you later.